This is the Adulting with ADHD podcast, self-empowerment for people with ADHD. Today, I am excited to have with me Billy Roberts. Billy is a licensed therapist and owner of Focused Mind ADHD Counseling. Welcome to the show, Billy.
Hey, well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. To start, tell our listeners a bit about who you are and what specifically drew you into this line of work.
Yeah, like you said, I'm a licensed therapist. I run a group practice that focuses on adult ADHD. We're in Columbus, Ohio. We serve some other states too, like Illinois. I got into this field. I'm an ADHDer, diagnosed early in my life as a kid. Became really familiar with the kinds of systems that I think the way that the world can either help or not help at all, ADHD folks.
Yeah.
And then when I got into the mental health field and became a therapist, I became really aware of how misunderstood ADHD is within the field itself. A lot of the clients that I would see had frustrating experiences with the previous providers and felt like therapy didn't work for them. And like, they'd heard all the strategies, but like I feel like I'm not meeting my potential or the best version of myself. And that can, and as some people with ADHD, we often internalize those experiences and can blame ourselves. And it's very hard to ask for help in the first place. So I started the group practice a few years ago to really hone in on ADHD testing and counseling for adult ADHD to combine the kind of coaching that you might see in terms of time management, but also the secondary psychological effects. So things like rejection sensitivity and self-worth issues and communication. So yeah, that's kind of it.
And people pleasing, which we're talking about today.
Yeah.
Which I love this topic. I'm so glad we're talking about it. So to start, why is people pleasing common? It's a common knee-jerk behavior often with us ADHD adults. Why is that?
Yes. Okay. It's a couple of answers. So the first thing is rejection sensitive dysphoria. So that is the brain's neurological wiring that has us, anticipate rejection and failure. We feel that feeling extremely, in a profound way, and can have a physiological, almost, a physical response to that. And then you also have the impact of our life on us. So there's something in mental health called in the trauma world called the fawn response. So the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So for a lot of us, people pleasing is really a survival instinct. It is our way of managing fear of loss in relationships, fear of abandonment, of displeasing other people. And to keep ourselves safe, we often, self-abandon. We often surrender our needs, our wants. We don't share our feelings. We don't want to start fights. We don't want to make any trouble. And it really comes up in any time there's a power differential. So you see a lot of folks in the corporate world. You might be an executive yourself and still feel like you don't have the agency or the power or the empowerment to say what you're thinking and feeling and lead with self-security and self-trust. So, it can really affect our self-worth and all that stuff. So yeah, you see all sorts of things come up in relationships as a result.
Yeah, very well explained. Let's dive into more of what this looks like. How does people pleasing manifest itself?
Yeah, so there's a couple ways. One of them is what I call the 3 O's. So that's overcommitment, over-responsibility, and over-accommodation. And there might be some other asterisks in there, like over-explaining and over-apologizing too. So this is us kind of like trying to do damage control on things that may or may not even need our attention. So, overcommitment might look like being a yes person, like saying yes to everything because we feel like, well, we dropped the ball on the other things, so maybe I need to say yes to all these things too. And then we maybe forget and drop the ball because there's too much on our plate, and then we feel more shame and we feel burnt out, so we take on more, and that can be problematic for us. And then over responsibility might look like taking responsibility for others' emotions, for their life. You see it a lot in helping professions. Doctors. ADHD doctors might bite off more than they can chew for folks. Sometimes parents might feel like they have to create this perfect world around not just their kids, but their spouses who might come home and want things done a certain way. And then we take responsibility for their mood and how they might react to that sort of thing. And then over accommodation. So, self-surrendering and really letting other people in our lives take center stage. So this might look like letting your spouse start 7 businesses while you stay in your corporate job and feel like it's stability for everyone and like you're not allowed to take the risk. And then you look around and the years pass and you feel like your dreams haven't really come to fruition.
Yeah.
Another way would be conflict avoidance. So that's the other side of the pendulum swing. So that looks like us, instead of doing damage control, we're more so holding back on expressing how we feel and holding back on expressing our needs and self-advocating. So we might just let other people, it might feel like they're criticizing us and we don't, stand up for ourselves. It might look like shading the truth even, or not being completely honest about something that's happened in our relationship, not because of any moral, ethical thing. It's more that, it just might feel easier to say, yeah, there was a traffic jam on I-95, then like, I guess I got caught up at work and I forgot. So the truth, yeah, it feels like shameful. And so we feel insecure about expressing it. And that's when you get into like ADHD masking and feeling like we have to hide our interests and the things that make us unique because we feel like those things won't be accepted. And then, we feel even more disconnected at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure. For a lot of this is sounding very familiar. We talk a lot about these kind of themes on the show. So let's talk about strategies. What's one or two like practical things people can practice like today, for example, if they want to, be more aware of this?
Yeah, so I think step one, just drop in and try to be self-aware of where you're people pleasing, because the nature of it, because it's this survival response, the becoming self-aware of it and the idea of changing it might feel overwhelming and even scary. Like it might even feel unsafe. So it's kind of a little bit easier to, not easier, but it's the mind just sort of, it's just how you do things. Like it's your reality. Like, well, what do you mean I should stand up for myself? Like,
Yeah.
I don't need, what are you talking about? I did these things, right? I forgot things this week. So that means I can't like, watch my TV show tonight or whatever it is. Like, so, we need to kind of like drop in. It's very nuanced. It might even be in your emails you're doing it, or you're over explaining and apologizing. And it's like this like memoir that it was just like, really just, can you pick up the car keys or something like that? So I think like being aware is step one.
Okay.
Step two is, I think, getting more comfortable with the truth. So trying to find ways to be honest, sharing with someone, a safe person to start, but maybe you want to practice building from there how you really feel. It could be sharing what you're really interested in. Like it might be going to a party and actually just sharing whatever you're thinking or whatever you're feeling, or, the thing you saw in the news that you do want to talk about, that you might feel like wouldn't be accepted, to test the waters and be real about those things. Over time, the more you practice that, the more you get comfortable being authentic and being yourself, and the more agency you have, because you see that the truth is what it is. Like you can't change what happened. And, I think sometimes you can even be proactive and tell on yourself. So I'm a big fan of that for ADHD folks. Like, yeah, I did it. I forgot. It's cool. I'm sorry. Like, it's not going to happen again. Like, I'm not willfully doing it, but, and I think it's really destigmatizing it for yourself so that you can change your relationship. It's honestly about changing your relationship with yourself first, so that you feel like you can stand in your truth for others. But practically, it's looking for small opportunities in day-to-day life so that you can feel more empowered and more able to be who you are and find your people.
Wonderful. Yeah. This has been a really great conversation. Is there anything you want to add about?
Yeah, no, I think there are times it does feel more scary to tackle these things. I think it kind of exists on a spectrum, people pleasing. And for some people, it's just facing it. It's more accessible and it feels more tangible day to day. And some people, it's a deeper thing. So I did write a book about it. It's going to come out soon on the topic.
Yes.
But
tell us about this. Yeah.
It's a deep dive on the topic. So I think, we talk about it. I think people pleasing ends up as a chapter in books on ADHD. If it's like, it's talked about in the RSD world maybe, but it's not its standalone thing. So this book is a practical guide to building the life you want on your own terms. So I only bring this up to say too, is sometimes this stuff does require counseling. Like not necessarily with me. I mean, you're welcome to call, but like anyone, who specializes with ADHD would probably be familiar with, the the uphill battle it can be to really own who you are and accept yourself and advocate for yourself. So yeah.
Wonderful. And where can listeners find this book and keep up with you online?
Yeah, the book will be out in a few months. If you
Mhm.
want to check me out online, it's at focusmindadhdcounseling.com. And so you can get updates, and we've got a blog we put out with some practical tools on the topic as well.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for being here, Billy.
Sure, it was a pleasure. Thanks so much.
Thank you.